After my last 3 Atlas video got over 15,000 views, you guys left me with hundreds of questions in the comments, and I read every single one and tried to reply every single one. And I noticed something. Almost all of them boil down to 5 big burning questions right now. Number 1, did Atlas 3i send radio signals? Number 2, is it accelerating like it has an engine, so some kind of non-gravitational acceleration? Number 3, did it explode at the perihelion? Number 4, what's with those jets pointing towards the sun? Number 5, how do we actually know it's not alien technology? Today I'm answering all 5 with peer-reviewed papers, with actual data from October and November 2025. Let's go. Quick note before we dive in. If you're here because you think it might be aliens, I respect that. The universe is big enough. We should question things, but we also need to follow where the evidence actually leads us. So let's look at what the data says. Did 3i Atlas send radio signals to Earth? This blew up because the headline said, first radio signals detected from interstellar object. Here's what actually happened. On October 24th, 2025, the MeerKAT telescope in South Africa detected absorption at 1.665 and 1.667 gigahertz. These exact frequencies is where hydroxyl radicals, or the OH molecules, absorb radio waves. When water molecules get hit by the UV light from the sun, they break apart. H2O basically becomes OH plus hydrogen. That's called photodissociation. At these specific frequencies, the OH molecules observe background radio energy coming from the sun and other sources, and that is what the telescope detected. Less radio energy than expected. That's an absorption signature. This is the same signature we see in every water-rich comet. Comet Hale-Bopp, same OH lines. Comet Hyakutake, the same OH lines. This isn't any alien communication, this is chemistry. If you want to learn about how radio telescopes actually work, I have a full video on that. Check out the I button. Okay, next question. Is Atlas 3i accelerating like it has some kind of engine? This was the most common question by far. Yes, it's accelerating. No, it does not have an engine. The numbers from NASA JPL, the radial accelerations away from the sun is 135 kilometers per day. The transverse accelerations are 60 kilometers per day. This is called non-gravitational acceleration. Gravity alone cannot explain this. But here's the thing, this happens with all comets, all the time. It's called the rocket effect. When ice on the comet's surface heats, it turns into gas. This gas escapes like jets shooting off the surface. It's Newton's third law. The gas pushes one away and the comet accelerates in the other way. It's almost like a rocket, right? The recent papers by MeerKAT shows conventional CO2 and CO outgassing can fully explain both the magnitude and the direction of Atlas 3i. There is absolutely no exotic physics needed to explain this. Comet 67P also showed non-gravitational acceleration from outgassing with 3 to 5% of an active surface, just like this comet has. Comet 1P Halley also showed non-gravitational accelerations measured at multiple paths in its trajectory, and all of this data is available. All you have to do is search up, read these papers. They're all there. For Atlas 3i, we see the coma. We measured the gas production. We detected the volatiles. The rocket effect is the simplest explanation. Okay, question 3. Did Atlas 3i explode or part at perihelion? The short answer to this question is there is no evidence of breakup yet. But let me explain the controversy. Alma showed that Atlas 3i was almost 4 arcseconds off of its predicted position near perihelion on October 29. That's a non-gravitational acceleration of about 0.02 millimeters per second squared. Avi Loeb did the momentum math to produce that the accelerations via outgassing, the nucleus would have been at least 1/6 of its mass. Of course, we know that force is mass times acceleration, and basically for outgassing, your mass is kind of deteriorating with some rate because you're ejecting stuff times velocity. If you lose that much mass quickly, you should see a massive gas cloud. If we don't see a 5.5 billion tons of gas cloud around Atlas 3i in November, December, then conventional outgassing might not explain this acceleration. Images from November 8th to 10th show Atlas 3I as a single intact body, no fragmentation, no piece. Again, with some historical context, Comet C 1980 E1 bubble showed same water activities at 5.3 AU. Comet C 2009 P1 showed elevated water beyond 3.4 AU. By the way, the IAWN campaign, or the International Asteroid Warning Network, is monitoring through January 2026. We will have definitive answers on this. Okay, coming to question 4. Why does Atlas 3I have jets pointing towards the sun? Images from the November 8th to 10th show at least 7 distinct jets. Some point away from the sun, which is normal, but some appear to be pointed towards the sun. That is actually called an anti-tail. What is the physics here? Normal comet tails comes from small dust grains, less than 10 micrometers. They get pushed away by the radiation pressure from the sun, literally the pressure from the sunlight. But when you eject large dust grains bigger than 100 micrometers, they're too massive. Radiation pressure cannot push them effectively. Instead, they follow a ballistic trajectory. If ejected from the sunlit hemisphere of the rotating nucleus, they can appear to be extended towards the sun from our viewing angle. It's a combination of large grain size and viewing geometry, and probably also nucleus rotation and how it's kind of, spewing away or distributing the material. Is this unprecedented? No. Comet C 2014 UN271 has shown this. Comet C 1980 E1 has also shown an anti-tail like structure in the past. Again, so all of this is not uncommon. Okay, coming to the last question, and probably also one of the most asked questions, is how do we know it's not aliens? We don't know with 100% certainty, but we follow the evidence. There are two hypotheses. Number one, it's a natural interstellar comet. And number two, it's an alien technology mimicking a comet. Now, let's test them against all the observations that we have had so far. Number one, water production at 2.9 AU, which is natural expected for volatile and very rich comets. Why would technology outgas water? CO2 dominated coma. This is consistent with low metallicity formations, as we saw in the Hopkins paper. Why would aliens unnecessarily complex disguise? OH absorptions. This is very natural, standard photodissociation chemistry. Why would aliens need to fake molecular transitions? Non-gravitational acceleration, the rocket effect from outgassing. Possible, but it's Occam's razor. Anti-tail structure, large grain dynamics. Why would aliens need to replicate this feature? Now, what would change my mind? Structured radio emissions at some non-natural artificial frequencies. Yes, that would be an interesting observation. That has not happened. Course corrections. Suddenly there's outgassing and the outgassing randomly stops and it just, moves in a different way. That could, hint towards something else. Any optical signal with any kind of information encoded in it. Yeah, that's also probably not natural. So anyways, all of this has not happened just yet. Look, I want to be clear about something. If you came to this video thinking that 3i Atlas might be alien technology, you're not wrong to ask this question. Questioning is good. The universe is pretty vast. Life almost certainly exists out there. But science isn't what we want to be true. It's about following the data. And right now, every single observation, the water production, the CO2 coma, the OH observations, the OH absorptions, the non-gravitational accelerations, the anti-tail, the intact nucleus, all of this is consistent with natural comet-like behavior. So what's next for us? December 19th, 2025, 3i Atlas reaches the closest approach to Earth at 269 million kilometers. The IAWN campaign that I mentioned about continues through January 2026. Hundreds of telescopes are watching it. On March 16th, 2026, 3i Atlas passes within 53 million kilometers from Jupiter. The Juno spacecraft would actually search for radio emissions at 50 Hz to 40 megahertz. That's how science works. We predict something, we test something, and then we adjust our models. All right, thanks for all the great questions. Keep asking them, keep being curious. I'll see you in the next one with future updates.